Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cartoon Boom. This is a show where we're awake by the Saturday morning sun, popped on the floor with big blood sugars here, and we'll watch your favorite cartoons, both old and new. I'm Joseph.
And I'm a vaguely anthropomorphic character that you get to argue about on Reddit. My name's Chris.
And this morning, we watched Goof Troop.
This was chosen by Nicholas via Facebook. Thank you, Nicholas.
Thank you, Nicholas. Boop-a-da-bop, bop-a-doo-bop. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get I don't know. 90s theme songs are a mystery to me. It's just like, I don't know what people were doing back then that, I don't know. They just made weird decisions when it came to theme songs in the 90s. I'm never going to understand what people were going for, what the idea was, why it happened.
I don't know, but this theme song holds up. This theme song is great. I love it. It's so catchy.
Does it?
Yes.
I don't know. I wasn't a fan of it. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a fan of the theme song.
Already, I feel like we're going to be on a different page here, and that upsets me because Goof Troop is so good. The theme song, so catchy. I need someone to chastise Chris in the comments or whatever. Cancel him because, like, how do you not like Goof Troop and or
No, I'm canceling you.
No, you can't cancel me. I love it. So Goof Troop aired from 1992 to 1993, created by Robert Taylor and Michael Peraza Jr., based on Goofy by Art Babbitt and Frank Webb, produced by Walt Disney Television Animation and Walt Disney Television, which I guess are two separate entities. This ran for 2 seasons, 78 episodes, and originally on the Disney Channel in 1992, and then syndicated for season 1 and also ABC for season 2. So I guess it kind of just shifted over after the Disney Channel to syndication and ABC.
Okay.
For a short synopsis, the classic Disney character Goofy is a single father raising his son Max in Spoonerville. Pete, a frequent antagonist from the old cartoons, lives next door to his family.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I like it. Do you think though that the show feels more about, at least a lot of the episodes we saw, it's a lot more about Pete than Goofy? Do you feel that way at all?
No, I think it's just the episodes that we happen to pick were very Pete heavy.
Okay.
Because it is very much a Goofy show, generally speaking. He's not as much of a supporting character as these episodes may have made it seem.
Okay. Got it.
So who were some of the actors who played in this show?
So Goofy was voiced by Bill Farmer, who has been actually voicing Goofy since 1987. Now, he has been doing other things, of course. But, I mean, mainly known for Goofy because that voice is just amazing. He does such a great job. Been voicing Goofy in cartoons, in movies, in video games, in audiobooks, all kinds of projects for that long. So almost as long as we've been alive. So that's pretty awesome. The character of Max, well, Maximilian Goof, because their last names are Goof, which is great. So we got Goofy Goof, Maximilian Goof. And then, like all of Pete's family, their last name is also Pete. So he's like Peter Pete.
So Pete is just Pete.
Yeah. And then there's Pistol Pete and Peg Pete and Pete Jr. Ridiculous. But Max was voiced by Dana Hill. She's been in tons of things. Lots of cartoons, Mighty Mouse, Darkwing Duck, Sonic the Hedgehog, Problem Child. Tons more. She was Audrey in European Vacation with Chevy Chase. If anyone had seen that one, she was the character Audrey. Pete was voiced by Jim Cummings, which we do talk about him a lot on the show. In fact, we're about to get into a lot of characters or a lot of voice actors that we talk about a lot on the show. Voiced by Jim Cummings, the voice of Winnie the Pooh, Tigger, Darkwing Duck, Taz for a lot of Looney Tunes stuff. And I didn't realize this, and maybe I have read it before, but I guess I just didn't think about it. He was Shredder for a while in the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Not the whole time, because I always associate Shredder with, Uncle Phil.
James Avery.
Yeah, James Avery. But Jim Cummings did voice Shredder for a period of time, which is
weird. I didn't know that.
Yeah. PJ, voiced by Rob Paulson, another person we talk about all the time, voice of Yakko, Pinky, Mighty Max, Raphael, going back to the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So someone that is not new to this podcast, talk about him all the time. Pistol, which is the youngest of Pete's family, the little girl, was voiced by Nancy Cartwright, mostly known for voicing Bart Simpson. And in the last several years has taken on the role of Chucky from Rugrats in various Rugrats cartoons, like All Grown Up. And I think they've been rebooting Rugrats. I don't remember in what capacity, But I know there's some sort of reboot of it, and
Oh,
she's taken
yeah.
on that voice of Chucky since the original actress passed away several years ago. Peg was voiced by April Winchell, who's done lots of things, but also, this is what I thought was interesting, I wanted to bring up here. April has also been known for years, and I'm talking like decades, for voicing Clarabelle Cow, which is typically in other Disney media, is usually Goofy's girlfriend, which is kind of interesting, but not Goofy's girlfriend here. So, yeah.
No, interesting.
Yeah. And then finally, the last person I want to talk about here, the voice of Waffles, which is Goofy and Max's cat. And then also Chainsaw, which, hilarious name, the dog of Pete's family. Who do you think voiced those two?
Was it Frank Welker?
It was Frank Welker, the voice of everything.
Of every animal, yes.
Everything Always. It is Frank Welker. He is Everything Always. We don't need to talk much about him. He is featured in almost every episode of Cartoon Boom in some capacity. So long live the king, Frank Welker. There you go. That's our main cast.
And for a few tasty marshmallows out of our big bowl of Goof Troop cereal, this was the first Disney television cartoon to be a situational comedy or a sitcom rather than an action or adventure cartoon.
Interesting.
Because if you think about it, the ones that preceded it, like Tailspin or DuckTales or Darkwing Duck, like those were all like transporting older characters, like especially Tailspin, like putting like Baloo and Shere Khan and stuff into like more updated roles, but they were still like adventures overall. Mm-hmm. They weren't sitcoms. And so this was the very first actual like cartoon sitcom that Disney had done. So interesting. Right. I didn't know that. The town of Spoonerville is named after J. Michael Spooner, who designed most of the background layouts for the series. So that was nice.
Oh,
nice little nod.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah.
Quackerjack, a villain from Darkwing Duck, 1991, makes an appearance in a few episodes, such as on Max's watch in one episode. So I guess the team just liked the look of Quackerjack. I do. Like, he's one of my favorite Darkwing Duck villains.
That is
so I get it.
Cool. Yeah.
This was the first animated television series to feature Goofy among the main cast. Goofy had starred in 50 theatrical animated short films as a solo character between 1939 and 1965, but had seen little use in animation since the 1960s. So this was kind of Goofy's resurgence.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that. Like, interesting.
Yeah, like he's a lot more prominent today, but I think a lot of that is because of this show.
I never really thought of like, I guess because since this started when me and you were still kids, I didn't really think about a time where Goofy wasn't really still part of like the cultural zeitgeist and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's really interesting that there was a time period where he wasn't.
Yeah, almost like a 30-year period where Goofy had just kind of died down, if he was even used at all, maybe as like a side character in certain things.
Right.
So
interesting.
Also, the series depicts Pegleg Pete, which I want to point out, like his wife's name is Peg, so that's a nod to his old character name, Pegleg Pete. And as Goofy's next door neighbor and childhood friend, Pete is one of the oldest villains used by the Disney studio. Pete had appeared in 67 theatrical animated short films between 1925 and 1954, mostly in antagonistic roles. He was infrequently used in animation between the mid-1950s and early 1990s. So he started as a Mickey Mouse villain, if I remember correctly. I mean, it makes sense because he's a big cat and Mickey is a mouse.
That's what I thought, because wasn't he, I don't know if he was in the Steamboat Willie thing, but I do remember, like, I remember some old black and white cartoons with Pegleg Pete as being like the antagonist.
Yeah, that would make sense.
So that's pretty interesting.
I'm going to check that real quick because I think I won't promise it, but yeah, I think he was the original villain in Steamboat Willie, if not by that same name.
Yeah, he was drawn differently, but it is Pete. It was a giant cat named Pete. But yeah, it's just kind of like a different version of him. It's like an early version of Pete, it looks like. So, man, he has been around a long time.
Pegleg Pete, but I'm not seeing a peg leg at all. Yeah, but yeah, he's been around forever.
I think it looks like he was called either Pete or Black Pete at the time.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I got as far as trivia goes. I also wanted to point out, because it was something that was interesting to me, was that Goofy owns a cat and Pete owns a dog. So it's
Yes.
kind of like reversing their characters there, since Goofy is a dog man and Pete is a cat man.
Yeah, okay. So I'm glad that you brought up that he's a dog man. Let's squash it now. Let's squash it. Let's destroy the internet. Let's destroy the fighting so everyone can be at peace once again. We don't need sides, guys. There's always been one side, there's been the other side, there's been the dog side, there's been the cow side. And we need to squash the beef, literally, figuratively, and we need to come together as one united family here. This is someone from Disney, okay? Aaron Glover, director of publicity and communications from Disney Animation, says, because there is so many, rumors out there that he was actually supposed to be a cow. This comes directly from, like I said, director of publicity and communications at Disney Animation. Goofy was originally created as a human character with dog-like characteristics. He is not a cow.
Yes, so he is a dog.
Yes, we have ended the debate. He is not a cow.
I'd always thought he was a dog, but
yes.
Yeah, it just like it gets snuck in there, and there's still people on the internet who believe he is a cow, and there's memes all over the place there. It's like, how old were you when you found out Goofy was actually a cow and not a dog?
Yeah, I'm looking at one of those memes right now.
Toxic.
But it's not true.
Not true. Goofy's a dog. He doesn't even look like a cow. He's a dog man. Accept it.
It's time to accept it, everyone. We got confirmation from the House of Mouse itself. It's time to move on with our lives. And so that concludes the debate about Goofy. And if you like things that are goofy, don't forget to check us out on twitch.tv/nerdsloth to catch us being goofy as we play video games live on Mondays and Saturdays, which lately have been things like Battletoads and Trover Saves the Universe, among others, or at youtube.com/nerdsloth, where you can catch all our podcasts, as well as lots of Let's Play game series like Hard Mode with Joe, Casual Gaming with Chris, and Free to Play Friday, along with lots of other goodies. So, if you like video games, if you like us, don't miss out. Follow or subscribe on Twitch and YouTube. That's twitch.tv/nerdsloth or youtube.com/nerdsloth. Gorsh!
So let's just go ahead and start talking about the show. We'll start with the very first episode, which was Everything's Coming Up Goofy, which season 1, episode 1, where Goofy and Max moved to Spoonerville, right next door to old pal Pete.
I kind of like the idea, like in this strange meta sort of way of like almost acknowledging their almost like having like a rivalry or something throughout the years, like in high school, and now they're like it's almost like Goofy always thought they were kind of friends, but Pete never did. And like now they're adults, and Goofy's looking for a new place to live and everything. I just thought it was kind of funny that it's like, following the idea of them as adults with families and everything. So like just the premise of the show right off the bat, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and it feels like, Goofy is he's still just Goofy, like as we know him. The only thing he has additionally is, well, he's a single dad now, so he's got Max by his side. But on the surface, he's still just the same old, like, aloof, completely, like, rarely has any idea what's actually going on, and just kind of goes with the flow. And things just kind of work out for him. And I think that bugs Pete more than anything else, is that he's kind of, like, he is sort of the Homer Simpson to Pete's Frank Grimes. Even though Pete's successful in his own right, I guess him having been separate from Goofy for so long, like, that's how he's been able to keep his life so organized and together. Now that Goofy's back in the picture, like, chaos ensues.
Pete just reminds me of like suburban cul-de-sac alpha male dad, like, the one that's always out working on his lawn and has like a boat or a car in the driveway that's always pristine, and his grass is always cut at an angle instead of like straight forward, and like loses his crap every time he sees like kids playing basketball anywhere near his house. Always wearing the polo shirts.
He's that to the extreme, because like he's very materialistic in this. He's not a straight up villain, but he's also very much a selfish, opportunistic individual.
Yeah, exactly.
So not a villain, but an antagonist for sure to Goofy's just aloofness.
Exactly. So what was kind of interesting about this is like Pete's also like always trying to work on some sort of big project, which I think is kind of funny because that still kind of goes with that sort of mentality, or at least that archetype in my head of like, I don't know, the overzealous cul-de-sac dad who's like always up to something, like trying to better something about his life there at his house. So like in this, he's trying to build himself like a little fishing spot, like, but in his own yard. And his plans for it would take over the house next door also, that his wife, who is a realtor, has not been able to sell. So she's like, fine, like if I can't sell it by 9 o'clock tonight, because I've been trying to sell it forever, you can just have it. So he's ready to bulldoze that thing for sure. And the caveat is we find out later why she can't sell it is because Pete, he's got cameras set up in the house like a pervert, but I mean, he doesn't perv on him. He has like traps and like props and stuff in there to scare people out of it. And like things are rigged up so that when people view the house, he can watch them and then like have a spider drop from the ceiling or something that shakes the house. And he'll talk about how it's like on a fault line or there's an earthquake, stuff like that. So they don't want it, so that he can eventually get that house for himself, bulldoze it, build his fishing spot.
Yeah, and Pete seems to be doing very well for himself. He is a used car salesman, but I think he owns the business.
Yes.
So he's got a lot of money to throw around. And Goofy, I guess, came from the city where he was living in a trailer, like in front of this backdrop of what looked like, some like lakeside view, but it was just like between these two giant buildings. He gets something that's like some kind of diploma that is the Widget Waffler Deluxe diploma, which I'm unsure what Goofy's job actually is in this, but it takes him to Spoonerville where he grew up around Pete, I guess with Pete and Peg, like they went to school together and stuff.
Yeah.
And so he's excited to get back there, but this conflicts with Pete's plan to build this fishing hole on that lot that he's going to move into.
Yeah, and basically, and this really kind of sums up a lot of the episode because Goofy doesn't have a house yet. He just up and moves him and Max without having a place. So they start heading out there, knowing that that's where Pete lives. He even calls Pete looking for directions to get there, and Pete gives him fake directions, trying to keep him away. But what happens is while he's on the payphone calling him, he didn't put the car in park, which starts going down a hill. So when him and Max like jump in it, the car's just rolling away out of control, crashes into Pete's yard, actually denting his boat, which causes Pete all kinds of anguish. But to make long story short, he ends up buying the house that Pete wants to get rid of, and like take over and get rid of. So that's like basically a good chunk of the episode is that, and just the anguish Pete has just because Goofy exists in his life again. And I like too the idea that like Pete has like really high blood pressure and keeps like essentially having like panic attacks and hyperventilating because he gets so upset and so angry. Oh man.
When his stress levels get too high, he hyperventilates, he just like passes out, or at least like crashes to the ground. And we get to see Max meet PJ. I like that in PJ's room, he has the first edition of Toxic Offender, which obviously is a nod to Toxic Avenger.
I knew you were going to get excited about that.
I had to, yeah. And so like PJ has a lot of great stuff in his room, but he's not allowed to touch any of it. It's all like first edition stuff, really pristine things, because Pete tells him like he'll ruin the mint condition of it all. So he's basically one of those like, if you think of like a toy collector who never takes the stuff out of its box, like that's what Pete is for everything.
Yeah, everything in the house.
So PJ is just allowed to look, not touch at his own toys.
He even has like a skateboard that he can't use. Like he can't even skate on the skateboard. It's not like a skateboard that Pete's like using or anything. Like it's not even for Pete. It's for PJ, but he still isn't allowed to use it. He can just look at it.
So we see that Max's job is going to be to help PJ kind of get out of his bubble there and have some fun. and also relax a little bit because he's very uptight because his dad kind of leads by fear, whereas Goofy is obviously a lot more chill.
Yeah. I love Pistol though. So Pistol's the little girl and she is just like so hyper and just so funny. And just like you can tell she's just super mischievous just from this first episode. Like she doesn't even have that many lines, but she's so funny.
Yeah. I like Peg too because of her attitude. Like Pete fears Peg because
Yes.
she seems like super sweet on the outside and just like a, you know, a regular mom, but then like when she gets mad or when she is like trying to make a point, like her voice goes like really deep and it's almost like a Grumble situation or a
Yes.
him situation where she just like goes into evil mode. And yeah, Pete fears this. So it was nice to see that Pete's not, even though he wears the pants in the family, like he's not in charge.
No, not at all. Like, in fact, one of the episodes we're going to talk about, he's so afraid of how mad she's going to be. He's like freaking out and trying to do all these things so she doesn't find out about something because he's just so scared of how she's going to react. And it's just so funny. But yeah, and the funny part of that is because she is such a sweet person, because like when Goofy gets there, she's just like hugging him and just so happy that he's back in the old neighborhood and everything. And just, it's just so funny to see.
Yeah. I appreciated that she just got agency more than just being the housewife or whatever, you know?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. She dominates that family, but in a loving way. I'll say this. She runs the family and keeps Pete in line because otherwise Pete would just be intolerable to everybody else, which is great.
So long story short, like this is where like she invites Goofy to stay with them, Goofy and Max to stay with them until their furniture gets here. That's where Pete learns that, you know, Goofy's moving into the house next door that he planned to demolish. So he, you know, Pete's already frustrated that Goofy's even here, but now staying in his house too. Like he's literally like telling Goofy the only reason you're staying here is because like my wife's making me do this. And so he's super frustrated. He gets to the point where he has one of those nervous breakdowns and goes to get the truck that is slowly driving Goofy's furniture to the house and like speeds it all the way there just to get it there that same night and like wrecks it into the side of Goofy's house. And he thinks like, okay, everything's fine. The furniture's here. Like they're out of my house and I'll get them out of their house in the morning. I just need to get some sleep. And that's where the episode ends with Goofy and Max starting to unpack and being super loud, keeping Pete up and his eyes are just bloodshot. So it closes out with that.
Yeah. It's just, it's pretty great. And I love too that like Pete does everything so selfishly and he's so mad doing everything and he's constantly like going off on Goofy, but Goofy is just so, I don't know, just so out of sorts, like just completely naive that he thinks Pete is just the nicest dude and is just bending over backwards, making his life so much easier for him when Pete's actually like just trying to get Goofy out of his hair and super rude. But yeah, Goofy takes it all like Pete's being a swell guy.
Yeah, Goofy has he's not aware at all of Pete's true character.
No, and that's like half of the fun of the show is just that relationship right there.
Exactly. So the second episode we watched for today's show was Close Encounters of the Weird Mime, Season 1, Episode 10. This is a Patreon pick by Fernando W.
Thanks, Fernando.
Thanks, Fernando. So in this one, Max and PJ accidentally send a signal to a communication satellite. And
that does not scratch the surface of this thing. Oh my goodness.
No, but that's what was on Disney Plus. Like that's literally the description that was on there.
This is my favorite episode out of everything we watched. This was such a good pick. So thank you, Fernando, for picking this because, man, you knocked it out of the park. This was great.
Yes. So PJ and Max are trying to make a science project, and they've got one of those basic, like, they have little ping pong balls making a solar system, but it's already falling apart, just crudely glued on there and painted. And it's falling apart. So Max gets the idea of like, let's just make a video. Like, let's make a movie. Let's make a sci-fi movie for our science project. So, you know, Max is the one he's the one who's always pushing the boundaries of things. And PJ, of course, is just kind of going along with it because, oh, that sounds like a lot more fun than what we're doing. So they start to do that, but then they need, like, Goofy doesn't have a VCR or it's broken or something. So they have to try to use Pete's VCR, but using anything of Pete's is always a challenge because he doesn't want anybody to touch any of his stuff.
Yeah. But also, like, another thing, and we sort of touched on this a little bit before, Pete, again, going back to, like, the archetype thing, everything Pete owns has got to be, like, the newest top of the line thing. So, like, he's got, like, this huge elaborate VCR. Outside, he's got this gigantic satellite dish. Like, I mean, this satellite dish is, like, not like the type you would see on a typical roof for TV. This thing is gigantic. And they ended up, like, they even pointed out at one point, PJ's like, are you sure you hooked this up right? And he's just like, oh, yeah, sure. Max thinks he hooked it up right, but he hooked the VCR up to the satellite dish by accident. So everything they're recording, instead of, like, recording it to, like, a tape or whatever, they're broadcasting their video through this huge satellite that Pete owns. And it's being picked up by, like, NASA and, like, newscasts and all kinds of stuff. As they're making this alien video, they cover themselves in aluminum foil. They say they're aliens from aluminum, and they think they're just making this fun video, pretending to be aliens. They're making all these demands, threatening the Earth. Like, they're making, like, a little sci-fi movie for fun, but the entire world is freaking out seeing this. And that's like, it's so funny because they're so oblivious. They have no idea what's going on. But the part that makes it even better is Goofy had just taken a street performance class, and he's out covered in aluminum foil to be all shiny, like, you know, one of those statue street performers. And he's doing stuff out on the street, and they dressed up the same way based off of seeing him do that. They're like, oh, that would make cool alien things. So they're broadcasting this thing looking all covered in foil. So the whole world's freaking out, seeing all this stuff. Goofy's already out there performing on the street looking like this. So everyone thinks Goofy's an alien. So, like, these scientists show up and kidnap him to take him to a lab to interrogate him and all kinds of stuff. It's just everything keeps escalating to such a huge level. It's amazing.
So the street performance class that he took was a mime class. So he's not allowed to talk while he's performing. And he's thinking this is all just part of the performance, like everybody freaking out or whatever and piling on him. He's like, oh, gosh, like he thinks that's his fan base. So he's just staying in character, not saying a word and just making these, like, gestural maneuvers. And even when he gets, like, picked up or kidnapped by the scientist, he thinks he's on TV now because he sees that camera on him. So he's still just doing his performance as they're watching him from the one-sided mirror. And like you said, it keeps escalating to the point where Max and PJ have to come in pretending to be scientists to help him escape. Pete is back home building a moat around his house with this like acidic, like, lava coffee that Peg picked up, like Tasmanian something or other, and Tasmanian tar roast coffee. And everybody thinks Pete's insane or part of the invasion because he's defending himself from these news reporters while he's thinking that they're the invaders. So it's a whole mess caused by just Max and PJ performing that sci-fi movie over the satellite.
And in typical Pete fashion, too, Pete ends up destroying a lot of his own yard and house to do this because, like, this happens, like, almost every episode. Like, it's kind of the joke is that Pete is so proud of all the expensive big things he has. But even though Goofy is sort of the bane of his existence, whatever happens always leads to Pete destroying his own stuff. And that's what happens here, too. Like, he was building a brick barbecue pit himself, like this big elaborate one. And then when Peg and his daughter Pistol tell him the aliens have arrived and are invading and stuff because of this broadcast, he sees what's going on and he freaks out. So he gets this, like, a caterpillar, starts digging this moat around the house, destroys, like, he accidentally knocks over, like, his van or truck or whatever, destroys the barbecue pit he just made, knocks his boat over to, like, build barricades and stuff. He's just destroying everything. And he's got like all this makeshift armor on. He's got guns out and he's like firing at helicopters, which are actually, you know, the military trying to figure out where the broadcast is coming from, which is Pete's own house. So he's shooting at the military and stuff. They're trying to get a hold of like him and figuring out what he's doing. It's so funny. It's just absolute mayhem.
Yeah, and this all culminates with them finally rescuing Goofy, Max and PJ rescuing Goofy, bringing him home, but not telling him that he wasn't already performing because there's a lot of heart to this show. And this is where kind of Goofy reveals to Max after he picks him up from the station or from the scientist lab that he was just trying to make him proud. It's like, oh, so Max doesn't want to let him down by letting him know like this whole mess that got caused because of it. And he brings him back and is like, okay, you have to put on this performance. Like here, he straps a fire extinguisher to his back to act like a rocket pack, a jet pack. And launches him off up in the air accidentally at first because Pete's trying to fight off Goofy still in his tinfoil costume.
Thinking he's an alien.
Yeah, thinking he's one of the aliens. He tries to fight him off, accidentally like sets off the fire extinguisher, which launches Goofy up into actual space and then sends him kind of back around, crashing through the crowd and everything and blazing through all of that. And then he hits a wall or something or runs into something, and then the extinguisher falls off his back and launches itself back up in the air. That's when everybody else thinks like, okay, the aliens have finally left, like after they see that fire extinguisher blast off. And that's where we're just left with talking about, well, we've got Max talking to Goofy there, and he's saying he's looking into a Hopi Indian dancing class now just to try to like help him and Max do stuff together.
Yeah.
And Pete, we go back to his house. We had seen earlier, and it really like emphasized on them too. And I didn't know why at the time, but this made it even funnier, is these baked potatoes that Peg had brought outside. And she just like left them behind, or like they got like scattered around out there, and you don't think anything of it. But then Pete sees them again, thinks they're alien eggs, and starts freaking out. Because they're
wrapped in tinfoil, yeah.
Yeah, they're wrapped in tinfoil, these baked potatoes, and starts like hitting them with a bat or something, starts smashing them. And it closes out with Pistol saying, oh, so that's how you make mashed potatoes. And it's just like an all-around great episode. I love the pacing of it, and just every joke paid off in some way.
I really enjoyed the scene in there where Pistol and Peg were in the house, and they had made like this huge slingshot kind of thing, and they shot something outside thinking the alien was trying to get in. But Pete had just opened the door and it just knocked him the crap out. Like, just hit him in the face so hard. And Peg immediately runs up and then she's like, oh, yeah, those rotten aliens must have got you. I don't know. Just knowing very well that she was the one that did it. Like, just trying to play it off.
Yeah, I think they were launching fruit out there, melons or something.
I think so. But yeah, that cracked me up. That was a really funny joke.
That was good. And just like Max and PJ convincing everybody convincing the scientists that they are scientists, and saying that Goofy has cosmic chickenpox, like it's causing male pattern baldness and everything, and they're freaking out.
Freaked out and ran away.
Yeah, they all ran off.
Yeah, I would run away because, I know how it feels.
Oh, man. So, yes, that was a great episode. And the last one we watched for today's show was Nightmare on Goof Street, which, of course, I appreciate that name. Season 1, episode 48. This was the highest rated, where Goofy wins a remodeling contest, but Pete tricks him out of it. Thinking he's going to get a free remodeling on his home, Pete soon finds himself conned.
That's true. One thing that I appreciated about this that made me laugh was just the beginning where they're all playing Scrabble together, because I'm just like, I feel like it's the most like adult thing from the 90s to like see some adults sitting at a table playing Scrabble, like it's either that or Trivial Pursuit. I feel like that's the most 90s thing you would have seen parents doing, like at like 8 p.m. at night,
right,
with like their neighbors. So that I appreciated that. That made me laugh, because I can think of times my parents were doing that with neighbors. So
exactly, yeah. And Goofy is taking way too long.
His turn was 27 minutes.
27 minutes, yeah. And so Pete's getting super frustrated. And So he's just like, just put something down. And Goofy finally puts down sesquipedalian, which Pete doesn't even think is a word at first, has to look it up. It ends up winning it with like 225 points. And then Goofy's just like, yeah, when I was in grade school, I won a spelling C, or was it GED? Like, Goofy is just completely...
He's such an idiot.
He has no idea what's going on. Yeah, but he just pulls this giant word out of nowhere.
I like right before that giant word, though, he's just like, well, I could do cat, but I don't have enough Ks. And it's like, oh my God. But then he pulls out the biggest like word you could possibly use and gets all those points. It's like, what? Oh, man, it was so good.
Goofy. I get Pete's frustration. I understand at times.
Yeah. He wins that radio contest. So they're at Goofy's house. The phone rings. He's told he wins a radio contest, which is funny because they're like, oh, you got to answer this question. Goofy answers it with another question. They're like, oh, you're correct. You won this remodel. And Pete's just like, what? No way. There's no way. And then Goofy goes off to tell Max about it. And so then Pete takes over and they're asking for the address. So Pete takes that opportunity, like we talked about in the primer for the episode here, where he gives them his own address and gives them his name because he's like, well, I'm just going to take this free renovation for myself, from my own home, because he wants to put in a game room in his house. And hilarity ensues here because, like, I kind of thought this might happen. These guys came over, these two dudes, and they are shady as heck. And they keep saying, like, we could do this, but
it'll cost a little extra.
Like, man, it's really bottom of the barrel what you're wanting here. If you really want the good stuff, if we want to put in like the real, like a good bowling alley, like the Olympic size bowling alley, it's going to be extra. And they keep just tempting him more and more. So even though this was going to be a free renovation, Pete just ends up paying more and more and more. And then they end up hiring Goofy to help them demolish parts of the house to help put stuff in. In the end, though, they end up demolishing most of the house, taking all the rooms out. And the only thing that's left is the front frame of the house. There's nothing left of it.
Yeah.
They leave.
And Goofy's like super proud to show Pete like what they accomplished. He's like, it's so airy in here.
There's so much light.
Yeah. And Pete this is what we were talking about earlier. Like, Pete is in fear because he's like, oh no, Peg is going to see this. And she's already upset with them for remodeling without her consent or anything. And now that they've removed the entire house, like gutted this house and just left the front up, he gets the ideas. He starts faking an illness so that he can, because there was also talk about them going on vacation at some point, saving up to go on vacation. So he fakes an illness. When she gets home, he blocks the door, prevents her from getting in. It's just like, oh, I'm sick. Goofy's going to take care of me. You guys go on vacation. Like, do your thing. I don't want to ruin your fun. Finally convinces her to leave without seeing the house. So I think like she leaves on a Friday and he's got until Sunday to like get this house back together without even knowing where it's gone or what happened. And when they finally go to where the business address is, it's just some empty canyon. And that's when he realizes he's been completely conned and has to go on a reconnaissance mission.
Question, just, when you were a kid, how often did you fake sick? And were you usually successful when you faked it?
Yeah, I did it a few times. The one that I remember was to stay home and watch Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, heck yeah. I did that a lot.
Yeah. It got to a point where like I did it so many days in a row at one point that they just had to force me to go to school.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I get it.
I would do that and watch a lot of Cartoon Network or Dragon Ball Z or something. But like, what was your method though? Because I had the best method, which I'm sure other people have used, but the light bulb method. Have you ever used the light bulb method?
Using the light bulb on the thermometer?
Yeah. So you turn on like a lamp, and I don't know if it would work with LEDs these days because those don't get so hot. But like, when we were kids, like lights were so hot. So like you touch if your parents gives you the thermometer, it takes a while. They're bored. They leave. You stick it against the light bulb. The thermometer gets real hot. And then a little bit before it goes off, you stick it back in your mouth. around the time they come back. So like it's like they're like, oh my god, it's like 104. Oh, honey, you gotta stay home. Oh, you're so sick. And I'm like, oh, give me my crackers and soup, my chicken and stars, and my Sprite, and my Dragon Ball Z manga, please. Yeah, that was the light bulb method.
Usually for me, it was just both my parents worked in the morning, so they were gone before I even left for school. So I just had to like call one of them, be like, hey, I'm not feeling good. I'm going to stay home. Is that okay?
Yeah.
And usually it was fine. Yeah.
Oh, I needed tangible proof. If I didn't have proof of illness or death, I was going to school. So I had to have some sort of evidence. I had to have a temperature. I had to be bleeding from something.
Yeah.
A body part had to be missing.
So basically you conned your parents.
So I was a con man from a real early age. I was a grifter real early. So in here, one thing that I really like too is that it showed a lot of humility too for Pete, which is great. Is they go to the police station because Goofy's just like starting to think that maybe those guys weren't on the up and up. Like Goofy's just now kind of figuring it out. So it's like, you should really tell the police. So they go to the police. The two police officers they're approaching are laughing about the exact same kind of situation. Like they're describing it to a T and laughing about how stupid you would have to be to fall for something like that. And Goofy walks up and he's laughing along with him. And he's like, oh, it's just like what happened. And then Pete like grabs him and runs out. Like he's so embarrassed. He can't fess up to it. He can't tell the cops because he's just so embarrassed for himself and what's happened.
Yeah, he's like, what kind of guy would let that happen right under his nose? A dumb one. A real dumb one. And they just start laughing at it.
Yeah. Oh, God.
So he gets no help from the cops. Eventually, like, he finds these rooms for sale.
No, Goofy finds them.
Oh, Goofy finds them, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're just out. It's literally rooms out on these, like, the back of these trailers in this, I don't know, in this, like,
it's on the side of the road
off the highway somewhere. Yeah, it's whatever. And so Pete's looking over him. He's like, hey, this kind of resembles my kitchen. This one looks a little bit like my room or like Pistol's room. And then he finally realizes, like, wait a minute, this is my fishing hat. And he sees the con man obviously running the thing. And like he tries to just take them back or threaten them, but then they're like, well, you signed a contract that says, any room we had to move, like we have ownership of the assets or whatever. And so like he has to like buy them back from him, which when I saw the final price was very reasonable considering. I mean, it sucked that it happened, but he only had to pay like a little over $1,000 to get all the rooms back. But like, that's not including whatever he had to pay on top of that for the renovations.
Right. But he paid them to dismantle his house, to, like steal the rooms. Then he had to pay them again to buy the rooms back. And then he was like, now put them together. And he's like, sorry, we do renovations. We don't build houses. Oh, yeah. And then they just leave. So Goofy pitches in to help them put it together, and they actually do a great job. They get the house all the way back together. Peg comes home, none the wiser. He plays like oh yeah, I'm feeling so much better. Goofy did such a good job taking care of me, blah, blah, blah. But then they go into the kitchen, the entire kitchen's upside down, so he gets caught anyway. And the episode ends with him sleeping in the doghouse right next to their dog Chainsaw, who's really annoyed.
Yeah, and it starts raining. Yeah. He's like, well, it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, it could have been worse.
Oh, man. Well, Chris, looks like it's about time we send our inner kids to Spoonerville to help Max and PJ frighten the townspeople as fellow tinfoilians, then see what they thought of the show Goof Troop.
I thought this Disney cartoon was gonna be real boring and stupid and just so 90s, but it was so much fun. But how do these animal people still have animal pets?
For an animated sitcom about family life, this cartoon is way more interesting than I would have expected. It looked great, was really funny, and was full of lovable characters. The only thing that was weird to me was Goofy, the dog man, owning a cat, and Pete, the cat man, owning a dog. I feel like there's a joke there, but I think I need to understand how Disney evolution works first.
I wonder just how this all works in Disney's eyes. Like, how does this all fit together? Is what I want to know.
It all really goes back to Pluto and being owned by Goofy at a time. But then it's like Pluto is like the next level of evolution above just a regular dog, but he's not quite to Goofy's level of dog man yet. So I don't know if it's like a stages thing or what.
I don't know.
It boggles the mind. I have no idea like what the deal is there.
To me, if I was relating this to another property, it's like, what if Mr. Mime was a Pokemon master? Like Mr. Mime had his own Pokemon gym. I'm like, that wouldn't make any sense.
I mean, Mr. Mime at least evolved to Ash's stepfather. We know that much. But
yeah, that's gross, but true. It feels like.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
So,
I'm pretty sure Mr. Mime is Ash's new dad.
Yeah, I don't know what the line is.
Gross. So what were some of the things that you liked about this show, Goof Troop?
Oh, so first of all, the animation looked fantastic and was very clean, especially if you watched it on Disney Plus. I need to be fair though, since the show was originally 4:3 and it was remastered to widescreen, meaning they basically just chopped off the top and the bottom of the frames to make it widescreen. So there are some shots where it feels like it's super zoomed in, like noticeably overdone. And you'll see that every once in a while, but it may bother some people if they choose to watch it like that. But honestly, I only really noticed it a couple of times in the episodes we watched, and it wasn't too distracting.
I don't know why they do that. I mean, well, I guess I understand it because people do prefer widescreen, but it's like, if that's not the format it was created in, I feel like you should just leave it alone and just let it be what it is.
If it were widescreen, meaning that they added like things to the sides to complete the frame, then fine. But if you're going to cut parts out of the frame, like this is animation that was worked very hard on. And sometimes there are important elements that you're cutting off by chopping off that much of a frame. So it's like, I get it to a degree, but at least give us the option to do either or, you know?
Yeah. Could you imagine if at one point somebody was just like, oh man, you know what? The Mona Lisa wasn't widescreen format. We're going to have to chop this thing. Like we're going to have to take off like the whole lower body to make this thing work now. So it's
top of her head, lower body.
It just doesn't make sense to do that. Just leave it alone. Let it stay in the original formatting. Don't worry about it. Like you're not ruining anything by letting it just stay in standard format. So
yeah, it's like it's trying to appease the masses, but give them an option that's like, they already have an option to like full screen something or whatever, or not full screen it, but like stretch it.
Yeah, you can do that on your TV.
Yeah, they already have the ability to stretch it. So just let them stretch it and see how wrong they are, because it's going to cut off important parts. And then maybe they'll go back to 4:3.
Don't cut off the important parts. Cut off the nothing. Don't cut anything off. Stop it. Stop it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, another thing I really appreciated was the standout personalities all the characters had, which we've touched on a little bit. Yeah. But for me, like Goofy and Pete especially, like Goofy was basically the same old Goofy on the surface, but being a single dad really gave him much more depth and a lot of emphasis on the heart of it. And you see that maybe not as much in these episodes that we watched, but in some of the episodes and the Goofy movie especially, you'll see how much Goofy loves Max and what a good relationship they have. And it's really heartwarming to watch that. And then Pete, on the opposite end of that, he was interesting since he came from classic Disney villainy, and now he's kind of like played the Shere Khan role in Tailspin, where he's not so much a straight up villain as he is just a selfish, materialistic opportunist, which is a form of modern villainy, yeah, but at least you can tell that he does care for his family and or just fears his wife. But the love is there, but on the outside, he is just that alpha suburbia dad like you were talking about.
Right. I gotta say, like, to me, Pete, for me, was the standout star of this show. I loved that character so much. The majority of big belly laughs I got from this show all came because of something that was going on with Pete. Just whether it was something he was doing, whether it was something that was happening to him, whether it was him just freaking out and going just way over the top, exaggerating a situation or exaggerating his reactions to something Goofy did or something that's happening to him. Oh my God. He had me cracking up so much in this show that I was just so surprised at it. And that's the thing too, is like, so like I went into this knowing nothing about Goof Troop at all, aside from it had to do with Goofy, and Goofy had a son, and that there was other Goofy looking, Goofy like characters. I didn't know anything else about it. So like I didn't know that Pete was in it. I didn't know that dynamic at all. So I ended up loving that character, loving the dynamic between him and Goofy. Pete's family, the whole thing, it was great. The relationships between every single character was so good, so entertaining, so fun to just witness and be a part of and enjoy. And then from another thing that I wanted to mention too is, I mean, I knew somewhere in the back of my mind that Goofy was a single dad for Max, but I never really actually gave that much thought, and then how interesting and progressive of a thing that was for Disney to do, especially like earlier in the 90s and things like that. Like, I'm impressed by that. I'm impressed that they did that they made that the center point of a show, and how good they did with it, and how heartwarming a story they made it, and how fun they made it, and how full of just love and family they made this thing between those two, and the love with the friendships that they form around them with like Pete's family and everything. Yeah, I honestly was very, very surprised by a lot of this. So I just have to give it accolades for all of that.
The last thing I want to mention as far as like the positive things about it go is for it not being an adventure-based show like we were talking about earlier, I think they did a great job of making animated suburbia interesting with some fun and unique storylines while still capturing our imaginations by sprinkling in kind of over-the-top cartoonish antics from time to time, but not overdoing it. Like, it wasn't centered around those. Those were just kind of icing on the cake of an interesting, fun story.
Yeah. I would 100% agree with that. And I do think that's interesting too to mention, because like that's the whole reason why I didn't watch this as a kid. And because we've established before that, I stayed away from Disney cartoons as a kid because I didn't find them interesting. Like, I would watch Disney movies and stuff, but I never felt like Disney shows were ever as good as the movies, when I was that age. And I would see something like Goof Troop, and I'm like, I didn't have the term like slice of life as, something in my vocabulary then. But, having that at least somewhat of that thought process, being like, that doesn't sound interesting. That sounds boring. Why would I watch that when I have Batman the Animated Series or Ninja Turtles or Mighty Max, like something action-packed and really interesting? So like I stayed away from a lot of shows like this because I wanted something more flashy, more adventurous, and I think I really missed out because of that.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of exceptions to any kind of reservations you would have had, but you wouldn't know it without seeing them, because a lot of times in the trailers, you don't get to see the depth that some of these cartoons had. It is just the antics and just the flying around and the goofy things that are happening. So to really appreciate one of these shows, you really would have to check it out. And I think maybe a big part of it for me is the nostalgia that I have for it, because I know it's not a perfect show, but as far as dislikes go, like, I don't really have anything. There's nothing that I would outright say I didn't like about this show. I of course, am not saying it's perfect, because I'm sure some people have reservations about it or things they don't like, but I just, it's fine to me as it is. Like, there's nothing I would change.
Yeah, and I can say too, like, I know you were wondering, like, maybe it's the nostalgia and everything, but someone that didn't watch this as a kid at all, someone that actively avoided watching it as a kid, I have no dislikes to talk about for this. I don't have a single one. So it's definitely not just the nostalgia. I think it was a really, really solid show. It was really well
That's
done.
Awesome. Yeah. After hearing you dislike the theme song, I was worried. So I'm glad that you said that.
No, okay, there's my dislike. I didn't like the theme song. I didn't care for it.
Oh,
There's my dislike.
that's fine. Acceptable.
Theme song's dumb.
Oh. Well, what would you give this show overall?
Well, I mean, it's got so much good stuff in it. It's so much better than I ever gave it credit for. And especially now being an adult, being a homeowner, being married, I find a lot of Pete's antics absolutely hilarious and super relatable. So I just want to hit on that point real quick, because not only do I see this as a great show for kids, so I am sad that I didn't see this as a kid, but this is just as fun for full-grown adults like decades later. So I couldn't give it any less than 5 bowls of Gorsh cereal out of 5.
Yeah, Goof Troop seemed like an interesting experiment concocted by Disney that really paid off. They took a classic character that had fallen into semi-obscurity at the time, and instead of making him a pilot or a rescue ranger or nephew of a traveling treasure hunter billionaire, they just had him become a single dad, which ended up being an adventure all of its own, and one that I can actually relate to coming from a broken family of myself. So with that said, I'd give Goof Troop 5 big bowls of Tasmanian tar roast cereal out of 5, and still think it's worth checking out. But if you don't have the time to invest in watching the whole series, because really, who does nowadays, at least check out a Goofy movie for a condensed version of what the show had to offer. And probably ignore the second one, though. That one's not as good.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I've heard the second one falls a little flat. And what's sad, too, is so the voice of Max does not continue into a Goofy movie. I know that she passed away, Dana Hill. She passed away in her 30s. Now, I don't know if that lines up exactly with a Goofy movie, but it might. When did a Goofy movie come out?
Let me check on that, but I'm not certain. But I know that Max was a teenager in the Goofy movie, so that could have also had something to do with the recasting. Goofy movie came out in 95.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, she passed away in 96. So I guess they recasted her right off the bat anyway for that. But but still really sad that that she passed on. Diabetes, man.
Yeah, man.
Should have listened, we all got to listen to Wilford Brimley. He's been warning us.
This whole time.
We got to listen to him, Diabetes.
So, yes, that's a strange tangent. So,
yeah.
So I don't mean to laugh at that. That's, I do feel bad, and it's unfortunate that happened to that voice actress. So thank you, Nicholas M., for suggesting this. It was great stepping back into it, especially as an adult. Seeing it with adult eyes changed my perspective of it, but didn't change my love for it.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so glad that I finally watched this. I finally gave it the time of day. And I honestly was going into it just being kind of like, man, I'm really not interested in doing this. And I'm dumb. I can say that. I'm an idiot. I'm glad that I watched it. So thank you so much for bringing this to our podcast, to my eyes and my ear holes and my soul hole. I don't know what that means.
Your soul hole?
My soul.
Yeah.
Thank you. And don't forget to leave us some ratings on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If I think Spotify was starting to do reviews. I don't know if they've implemented that, but if you have the opportunity, leave us a nice old review on Spotify as well, or wherever you're listening to your podcast. That's one way you can help us grow the show for free, if you would be so kind. So please do that for us, especially if you enjoyed this episode in particular. Let everybody know. Let your friends know. Let your fathers know, and other household members or friends and family. I don't know why I'm zeroing in on those dads, but do it. Tell your dad. Hey, Dad!
Tell your dad. Want to meet that dad?
Yeah.
Do you remember that skit?
No.
I think it was a Tim and Eric thing, but I don't remember the specifics behind it. Anyway.
Okay. I mean, anything Tim and Eric was pretty fun and weird.
Yeah.
So, hats off to you.
Well, listeners, looks like our milk supply is now run dry, so it's time for us to say goodbye. And next week, we'll be watching
Afro Samurai, suggested via Facebook by David B.
Oh, man, that's such a good movie.
Is it a movie?
Ooh.
I thought it was a show.
Are we watching the movie?
I think it's a show.
Maybe I just watched it all in one sitting as a movie.
It's a mini series.
Oh, that's
okay.
Oh, no. Afro Samurai Resurrection is a movie. That's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, we're watching the mini series, which is 8 episodes, I think. Yeah.
That's good, because I actually just watched Afro Samurai Resurrection last year.
Really?
Not for the first time, but I just rewatched it and really enjoyed it. So it'll be nice to see the series, which I believe is a predecessor to the Resurrection movie.
Cool. Yeah, I've never seen any Afro Samurai stuff, but I've heard a lot of really cool things about it. So it's always been on my list of things that I've wanted to see personally. So I'm very, very excited for it. I'd also really love to read the manga one day, but yeah, I'm excited to get into this one.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. So once again, I'm Joseph.
And I'm Chris.
We'll see you next Saturday.
Gorge.
Presented by Nerdsloth.
A place for lazy nerds.
If you like what you heard, consider donating at patreon.com/nerdsloth so we can continue bringing you quality shows. Be sure to also leave us a review and share your favorite episodes and clips on social media. If you're looking for more content, visit us at nerdsloth.com.